Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar around JobKeeper. I hope we're not going to take up too much of your valuable time today because I know everyone is super busy at the moment, but we've just got a few things that we've been doing at HR on Board that we think will be useful to share out into the HR community. So what we're going to cover today is how we can help you with your obligations as an employer. Really how we're going to configure that JobKeeper employee workflow for you, and really how to scale your communications for your ongoing obligations. We can do a really fast implementation process on this one because, you know, we've been working a lot in the background to make sure that we meet those requirements and can get you up and running within hours. So I'll hand over to Scott to explain a little more about the JobKeeper.
Thanks, Kirsty. So I'm just going to go through this quite quickly because I'm sure since you're all here and listening, you're probably already aware of what JobKeeper is. But at a really high level, it's a $1,500 payment per fortnight that gets paid to eligible employers, which then gets passed on to your eligible employees. So the key words that we're really focused on here and where we can help you is eligible employees. So I'm sure you're all aware, you've probably already done your research. There is a bunch of criteria that make up what an eligible employee is. And part of that criteria needs to be confirmed by the employee. So for example, they need to confirm that they aren't receiving JobKeeper payments through another employer. And they need to agree to be nominated by you to receive the payment using a form that's provided by the ATO. And then there's an element of, there's some key dates around this that are set out by the ATO. And so it is going to be in your interest to get this happening quite quickly if you intend to claim JobKeeper for the month of April. But I'm sure you're already across that at this point. Which brings us to kind of how we can help you. So before I go into that, I do just want to clarify that we're not legal experts, and this isn't about giving you legal advice. But what we are really good at is process and employee experience. So I guess the question that we want to help you answer, or the problem that we want to help you solve, is how do you communicate with your entire workforce in a way that's quick, auditable, compliant, but it's still a positive experience for your employees. So the first step that you kind of need to take is deciding on your approach. From our conversation so far, we've seen kind of two different I guess, thought processes. We do have a recommendation for you, but the approaches that you can take is you can choose to communicate with only the people who may be eligible, or you can choose to communicate to everyone, even if you know they aren't eligible. So that is our recommendation for you. That's from a compliance and an audit perspective, and also just about keeping everyone informed of kind of what's happening and what it means for them. If you do go down the path of communicating with only the people who are eligible, I think the best starting point for you will be to have a look at who you can kind of rule out. So you can do that based on, I'm sure you can get a report from payroll, and you can filter based on your employment dates, employment status, age, work rights. You're basically going to be left with a pool of people who might be eligible. And then they're the people that you can communicate with. Regardless of which way you go, you'll need to confirm who is definitely eligible. And that's going to be required by the ATO for payments from May 4th onwards. I think someone in the ATO was having a bit of a laugh when they chose May 4th. May the 4th be with you. But from then on, yeah, you need to produce a report and provide that to the ATO to say who is eligible and who is not. And unless you can confirm that they are eligible and that they've agreed to be nominated for the payment, then you can't provide that payment. At least that's our understanding. Which brings us to the JobKeeper workflow. So yeah, regardless of which approach you're taking, this workflow is going to look pretty much the same. You can configure it as you need it. We're here to help you with that, and this can be done very quickly for you. But no matter what, the first step will be a bulk import is what you'll be looking at. So we will provide a CSV template for you. You can fill in this template with as little information as just the name and the email of the employees, but you can choose to provide more. So for example, you might want to include their mobile as well, so that when you send this out, they can get an SMS, and they can fill out their part just on a mobile. Or you can even include information like their address, so that pre-fills some information on the form for them and makes it faster. The next step is to review the data and send that out to the employees. Now, I want to make it very clear that this step is actually optional. So if you're going through the path of just doing name and email on a CSV, it may be overkill for you to then sit and review these. So this step can be automated. We'll work with you to speed this up. So once you've done that import, we can then send these out for you to the employees to make that a really fast process.
And just on how quickly that can work, we are currently working with an organisation and sending out 8,000 letters over the net, that we're starting lunchtime today, and we'll have them sent out by the end of business Monday. So we can get a large volume of numbers out to support you through that.
Yeah, definitely. So I will hand over to Kirsty. So Kirsty's going to show you what this looks like to the employee once you've sent it to them. And she'll go through, I guess, the process of agreeing to be nominated, and then that'll come back into the back office processing. So I'll hand that over to Kirsty.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. So what you can see now is the employee's experience. So there are a couple of things that have happened before I've gotten to this screen. And just to point out what those things are, the employee will receive the notification. They will receive an SMS if you've supplied their mobile number, advising them that they have their JobKeeper that they need to verify and acknowledge, or it can be done via via email itself. So the employee clicks on the link in their SMS or in their email, and they get pulled into this portal here. And essentially what they will be presented with is a couple of things. First, there's a JobKeeper letter, and this could just be a letter to advise that they are eligible for the payment. And in the scenario, if you were to advise all employees, not just eligible employees, you might have a letter saying why they are not eligible for this as well. So there may be two different templates that you do have, but essentially there is a letter available. And we can give you a basic template with the letters as well. And, you know, some more information around what is the JobKeeper payment, just so that they've got information themselves and an understanding of what this means. Now, with our standard workflow, this is all part of our standard workflow, all of the wording. However, you can come in and change the wording of the portal. If you want to change, you know, all of the information that the employees receive, you can actually go in and edit that yourself. But essentially, the employee logs in and proceeds to the next steps. So it is nice and easy for them to complete. And it also will work, just to show you how this will also work on, oh, no, I won't show you that. Oh.
You should have there you go.
I'm going to show you how it will fit nicely into a mobile screen. Usually that trick works, but I'll just show you now by pulling it across. If they are doing it on their mobile device, which a lot of people might be, it will fit nicely into their screen. So, but just to show you what that looks like. So essentially the minimum requirements as Scott mentioned, to send these out fast is their first name, their last name, and also their email address. The employee can go in and fill the rest of this information is, and what they'll be presented with this form is the actual form in the top right hand corner here, and they can download that if they'd like to view the form, but there's certainly no requirement to download and complete, because all of the fields that they're filling in within this form itself are the fields matched to that form. So by completing all of the information on this page, they are in essence actually completing the form themselves. So they need to agree to be nominated or not to be nominated. If they are not eligible, perhaps they're receiving payments elsewhere, and declare that the information is true and correct, and save and continue. So nice and easy. It's filling in an online form and hitting next. We then get to the step where we download to acknowledge. I agree to the terms of the JobKeeper letter and download to acknowledge. The information is true and correct in this document, and acknowledge and continue. And it really is as simple as that from the employee's perspective of getting that form back to you. So that will sit in the My JobKeeper letter tab. If you are an existing customer of HR on board, your employees might have been onboarded, so it will be under their events and they'll be able to see that form. So what happens at the end is you will actually have a completed form, you know, and this is your evidence if you are audited around your payments. This is, oh, there it is. This is your evidence to state that your employees have completed this documentation and you are compliant essentially. So that's the employee's experience and everything they go through to accept that letter. Let me just go and move that one out of the way. So what happens next? So there's a couple of things that can happen. With our existing customers, we can potentially send it through to your payroll system, dependent if you already have an integration, and also dependent on the capability of your payroll solutions API documentation. So we can potentially support you with that. But I think what is another really awesome thing that we have is we've looked at our journeys and we've enhanced our journeys module to include a broadcast to employees. So they're filled in the documentation, but what next for them? So the broadcast means that you can actually have ongoing engagement and ongoing notification to your employees. So there might be a requirement, you know, to keep in touch with your employees and see how they're going. Are they going to continue to be eligible throughout this process? So there's two areas within the broadcast. There's always available. So as soon as you build content to send out to them, you put it in always available, they'll receive notification either via SMS or email, and they'll be presented with that information in a really nice, easy way to receive that information. Versus scheduled, which is you might schedule communication every 2 weeks. Now, I know that what we're presenting on today is all around the JobKeeper, but the reality is you've got a workforce that might be sitting idle at home. So sharing other information around, you know, mental health and well-being. And, you know, at the other end of this is a 6-month program that we've got for the broadcast. At the end of this, how are you planning on reopening and how are you going to communicate that with your employees? So it really is a great communication tool to keep everyone up to date with everything they need to know. And you can also set tasks and reminders for them through this as well. So it really is a great tool to keep your employees engaged through this process. What we've also included here is we've included a lot of helpful ATO links. Now, as we've said, we're certainly not legal experts. We don't know about the legislation in detail. Absolutely speak to the right people about that. Get the information from the ATO website. We will share this slide deck to everybody who has attended today, so you can go in and have a look at it yourself. But yeah, all of that information is available. So any questions that you might have?
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions that I'm seeing come through, Kirsty.
Awesome.
So the first one is, I thought we need to estimate the list of eligible employees by the end of April. So that is my understanding as well from just reading on the website, is that you can do an estimate for April. I'm really not sure what the implications are of just estimating versus going through this. But then certainly from May 4th onwards, you do need to have a confirmation of who is eligible.
And I think one of the good things about automating this process with, a software like HR on Board is not only are we sending it to the employees, if the employees don't get to it straight away, we're actually going to send them a reminder. So they'll get a little nudge, a day later, 2 days later saying, hey, you haven't completed your JobKeeper paperwork. Is this, and so you can actually set those reminders, the content of those reminders to keep everybody on track and to make sure that you get, from a compliance and audit perspective, make sure that you get the information that you need to be able to nominate on their behalf.
Yep, awesome. Can you separate out the broadcast messages so that those who were eligible to receive payments receive different messages? Oh, yeah. Yes, you can. So within broadcasts, I'm not sure whether anyone here is familiar with Journeys. It's got a similar concept where you've got streams. So you can basically have one bucket of people that says you are eligible, and you can communicate to them in one way, and then you can have everyone else in a different stream and communicate to them something different. We've got another question here on how long implementation takes. Kirsty, did you want to field that one?
Yeah, look, we've actually built out the template to have you working with it within a couple of hours. So as soon as we get the green light to move forward, now that's regardless of whether you're an existing customer or not, you'll receive, once we get the green light to move forward with you, you'll receive a phone call within an hour from us, and you'll have something that you can send out these letters within a couple of hours from getting that approval.
Cool. I've got another question here that I think will be for you, Kirsty. Are these journeys considered onboarding transactions?
That's a really good question. So I think the best thing to do would be to speak to Michelle about, so I assume that's an existing customer. The best thing to do would be to speak to Michelle about where you're at with your current usage, and we'll do everything that we can to help you. So if that means that you've got some some existing usage that you can use with HR on Board, absolutely, we'll do what we can to keep costs down. We understand that this is needed by companies that need it most, and at a time like this, it's really important for us that we're not making money on this. We're essentially providing the service at what it costs us to run it for you, because we really want to help you through this. Not only do we want to help you, we want to help your employees, and we can only imagine that a time like this when you're not receiving money, and everything is a little uncertain, communication is key, and we've got a really good way of doing that.
Yeah, awesome. So if someone elects no, so if they say that they're not eligible, how is this captured by the employer to follow up and understand with the employee about why they've selected no? So that is a really good question. So we can build things into the workflow to basically say, if they've selected no, we can have another question for them to explain why they've selected no, or we can have it so that you just produce a report at the end and you can follow up with them. It's really up to you on what your process is and how you want to go about it, but it is configurable to do it based on which way you think works best for you. So the next question is, can the system track progress of completion for all staff? So yes, it can. So you do have a report that you can download that's called basically a detailed CSV, and it'll just give you all of the employees and what they've put into any of those fields. So you can download that, and then you'll be able to filter on whether they're eligible or not. And you'll also be able to use that as the basis of the report that you provide to the ATO. And I think that just answered the next question as well. I'm just having a check. Yes. If integration doesn't exist with payroll, can we do a bulk download of completed forms? So the form themselves, no, you can't download the form in bulk, but you can download the data in the report. But what I do want to stress is the form itself doesn't actually need to be provided to the ATO. That is only required for your records from an audit perspective. So you don't actually need to download it. It can just sit in HR Onboard. Is there a cost to implementing this into our existing systems, or is this being offered free of charge, is the question. I'll leave that one for you, Kirsty.
Yeah, a really good question. And again, existing customers, reach out to Michelle. She'll be the best person placed to assist you with this. Obviously, we have put some work in behind it, but we will do what we can to work with you to get these out. So there may be a minimal cost. We may be able to look at what you're already using as your license, but rest assured, we're doing what we can to get it to you as best as we can without any additional charges. But you would need to speak to Michelle for existing customers. New customers, there is going to be some work involved for us to get you up and running, and obviously SMS charges and those sorts of things. So there will be a charge for this. But again, if I can just stress, this is not an exercise of us trying to I guess, make money off this situation. This is us. We have a great solution that we can help. So we will offer this to you at essentially what it costs us to do it for you. And that will be based around the size of your organisation, how many SMSs that you plan to run. So you'll need to have a chat with us around costing for you as a new customer, and existing customers go through to Michelle.
Awesome. So I'm just going through and I'm closing off any questions about cost and pricing, because I think that pretty much covers them. So the next question is, we started with HR Onboard just last year. Is this available for employees who weren't onboarded via HR Onboard? So the answer to that is yes. So you specify who you want to send this to in that bulk CSV that gets uploaded. So that's available to everyone, regardless of whether they've gone through before or not. Export to payroll, what about data that can be exported and can go and be uploaded? So those integrations that are kind of, where you download a report and then upload it, they're a lot easier. Again, talk to us about which system you're using, and we'll have to have a look at the payroll vendor's requirements on what they need to do that. But certainly we'll be able to work with you to work that out. So we've got another question here on, we will go live with HR Onboard very soon. Are we able to roll this out to all our employees in time? Yes. So regardless of whether you're an existing customer, whether you're live or not, this is something that we can implement very quickly. So what you've seen today is very quick for us to put straight into your environment. You can have a look at it, change the things that you need to, and then we are ready for you to start using it. So yeah, it is going to be a very quick process, as long as I guess we're able to prioritize it on both ends, and we're certainly able to do it on our side. So another question here, can someone change their answer from no to yes after submission? That's a really good question. So when they're completing the form itself is about capturing their eligible, I can't say it, but you know what I'm trying to get at, to capture whether they are eligible or not at that point in time. So that is the first one where you just need to get that form filled in and then confirm that yes, they are. And then from there on, it's about ongoing communications using the broadcasts to check in with them. And then the onus is on them to reach back out to you and say, no, I am no longer able to claim this. My circumstances have changed. So that's why it's really important to keep doing that regular touch point with them. How long does payroll integration take if we are not already integrated? Again, that's going to depend on the payroll solution. Yeah, I think the best thing to do is just maybe have a chat to Michelle and we'll have a look into that for you. What happens when there is no payroll integration? So the best thing to do is to download that report, and then you can filter based on whether they're eligible or not. And we've got one last question. Do employees need to have been onboarded through their system? No, they don't. So yeah, I think I answered that question before. So this is just, you can specify who you want to send it to in that bulk CSV and send it to whoever you need it to go to. They don't have to have been through the system before.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, I think, you know, we do have a lot of customers listening in, and obviously they understand how HR on board works, and will understand it will be nice and quick for us to get them live. But for anyone who's not currently using HR on board, you don't need to look at the onboarding side of things to use this functionality. Just reach out to us and we'll look at your business and how we can help you, and we'll have you up and running within hours, regardless of whether you're an existing customer or not. And the process won't change once you're live. It will be a bulk upload from, you know, of the basic information such as their name, first name, last name, email. So that won't change regardless of whether you're an existing customer or a new customer. So it really, yeah, it's for everybody out there, even if you're not currently using HR on board for your onboarding needs.
Yeah, and I think just before we wrap up, I did just see that Michelle posted a message that she just wanted to add something about tracking the progress of your responses within the app. So you can really easily filter on your reports in the app to see how people are tracking. We can do things like notifications, whatever you need. But we do have a number of tools already available to monitor the progress of these as they're already going out and coming back in. Kirsty, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, that's really it for me. Well, I think the only thing that, you know, is really important to me is that, you know, it is a tough time for everybody. So, you know, it's a tough time for HR. It's a tough time for your employees, and we really are just here to help. We're happy to get in and get our hands dirty and help you sending these out if you need assistance, if you don't have a large team, but you have a large workforce. Or we're happy to just do the implementation and leave it with you if you need some work, if you need to get these out and are looking for something to do yourself. So we'll work with you because this is a really good solution to put some of that anxiety in that might be in people's mind at bay. So yeah, we're here to help in any way we can. And before we do wrap up, just a shout out to Scott. I did only hear one mispronunciation. So well done. That was a lot better than our original run through.
There's definitely a couple of pauses before I went to say it.
Well done, Scott. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. All right. I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend.
Okay, bye.